The crazy part about that night is this. The officer thought he was about to scare a quiet woman walking home in the rain, but he had absolutely no idea she had survived things that would have broken him in 5 minutes. He thought he was in control, thought the badge on his chest meant the story would go exactly how he wanted. And the wildest thing of all, she never fought him, never shouted, never even tried to prove who she was. She just stood there and let the truth catch up with him in front of everybody. Now, if you've ever seen a moment when arrogance meets reality, you know what I'm talking about, that slow shift when a situation starts turning and the person causing the trouble doesn't realize it yet. Yeah, that happened. It was a wet Thursday evening in Belmere, the kind of small American town where people like to pretend nothing ugly ever happens. The cafes have little lights hanging over the windows. The sidewalks smell like coffee and rain, and everybody tells themselves their town is different from the places on the news. Talia Brooks was walking home down Pine Street with a canvas bag on her shoulder, hood up against the drizzle, just trying to make it home before the rain picked up harder. She walked steady, calm, balanced. The kind of walk people notice even if they don't know why. Some folks carry themselves like they're always bracing for something, you know what I mean? But Talia moved like someone who had already survived the worst and didn't need to prove anything to anybody. About half a block behind her, a police cruiser slowed down, engine humming, low headlights cutting through the mist. Officer Brent Calloway leaned forward over the wheel like he had already decided something about her before he even opened the door. Some people don't look for truth, they look for targets. The cruiser door slammed hard enough that two people under a nearby awning looked up. Then his voice came cutting through the rain. "Hey, hands where I can see them." Talia stopped. She didn't flinch, didn't spin around like she'd been caught doing something wrong, just slowly turned and faced him. Brent stepped out like the sidewalk belonged to him. "You hear me?" he said louder. "Hands up." She lifted her hands slightly, calm, empty. "I'm just walking home," she said. Her voice was steady, the kind of calm that makes aggressive people uncomfortable because they can't feed on it. Brent walked closer, eyes scanning her like he was already writing a report in his head. "Funny," he said, "because you match a description." Anybody standing nearby knew that line. It's the kind of sentence that can mean anything and nothing at the same time. Talia glanced at the body camera clipped to his vest. The little light wasn't blinking, not recording. She noticed that instantly. Officers like Brent always think the smartest move they make is turning off the evidence. "What description?" she asked. Brent smirked, like the question annoyed him. "Don't play games with me." Then he reached for the strap of her bag without asking. Talia stepped back one pace, slow and controlled. "You don't need to touch my stuff," she said. He leaned closer, voice low. "I'll decide what I need." Now here's the part Brent Calloway couldn't have imagined. The woman he was trying to intimidate had spent years in one of the most elite military units on the planet, not the kind people brag about at parties, the kind that doesn't get mentioned much outside secure rooms and quiet reunions. She had trained in places where hesitation could get people killed. She knew how to read shoulders, breathing balance. She knew exactly how quickly she could disarm him, pin him, and have his own cuffs on his wrists. 4 seconds, maybe 5 on wet pavement. But Belmere wasn't a battlefield, and Talia had made herself a promise when she left that life behind. No violence unless there was absolutely no other choice. So instead of reacting, she got still. Really still. That's what unsettled him. People like Brent expect panic. They expect arguing. What they don't expect is calm. "You think you're too good to answer me," he snapped. Talia looked right at him and said quietly, "No. I think you're looking for trouble where there isn't any." That hit him harder than yelling would have. His jaw tightened. He grabbed the bag strap and pulled it open, digging through her things like he was trying to manufacture suspicion with his bare hands. A book, a water bottle, a small roll of tools, protein bars, a receipt. Nothing illegal, nothing exciting, which somehow made him more irritated. "Why are you carrying tools?" he asked. Talia shrugged slightly. "Because screwdrivers are still legal, officer." Across the street, a college kid in a green jacket had quietly lifted his phone and started recording. A woman beside him whispered, "Keep filming." Brent noticed the phone and snapped around. "Back up, this is police business." Nobody moved. That was the moment the mood shifted. Not loud, not dramatic, just different. A florist closing shop stepped outside. A delivery driver leaned against his van. An older guy with a fishing hat came to the curb. Belmere had seen enough viral videos to know one thing. If you want the truth to survive, somebody better record it. Brent turned back toward Talia and decided to escalate. "Face the wall," he ordered, for what she asked, for resisting. That word hung in the air like a bad joke nobody was laughing at. I haven't resisted anything, she said calmly. Then don't start now. He grabbed her wrist, hard, fast, trying to rattle her. What he didn't expect was the way her body shifted. Balanced, controlled, not aggressive, but clearly trained. His eyes flickered. For the first time, he looked uncertain. Talia felt it too. She had seen that look before, the moment when someone realizes the person they're trying to bully isn't what they assumed. But she still didn't attack. She just said one thing: let go. Simple, quiet, dead serious. Then something unexpected happened. The kid with the phone stepped closer and shouted, "Miss Brooks." Talia blinked. The kid looked stunned. "It is you." "Oh my God," Brent barked. "Stay back." But the kid was already shaking his head. "You saved my uncle," he said. "In Syria. Marcus Reed. You carried him out of that building." The crowd went silent. Talia closed her eyes for a second. She had spent years trying not to be recognized. "You've got the wrong person," she said softly. The kid shook his head again. "No, I don't. My uncle showed us your picture. He said if he was alive, it was because you went back in when everybody else thought the place was gone." Brent looked between them, confused, irritated, losing control of the narrative he thought he had. "I said back up," he shouted again, but nobody moved. Then Brent made the mistake that sealed his fate. He slapped the kid's phone out of his hand. It hit the pavement and cracked. That's when the crowd stopped being bystanders and became witnesses. More phones came up. Someone started a live stream. Someone else said, "I got that on video." Talia could feel the circle forming around her strangers, standing shoulder to shoulder without saying much, just refusing to disappear. Funny thing about bullies, they rely on silence until silence turns against them. A second cruiser pulled up 2 minutes later. Officer Lena Torres stepped out slowly, scanning the scene with experienced eyes. She looked at the crowd, the broken phone, Brent's tense posture, the unblinking body cam. "What's going on?" she asked. Brent answered quickly. "Suspicious individual, non-compliant." Lena looked at Talia, then at the open bag. "Your camera off," she asked Brent. "Technical issue," he said. Lena didn't react. She turned to Talia. "Ma'am, did he explain why you were being detained?" "No," Talia answered. "Did he ask permission before searching your bag?" "No," Brent muttered. "Don't do this here." Lena tapped her shoulder radio. "Dispatch, I need a supervisor at Pine and Mercer. Possible unlawful stop. Multiple civilian recordings." The street went quiet again. Brent whispered angrily. "What are you doing?" Lena answered calmly. "My job." Brent tried one last move. "Turn around and put your hands behind your back," he told Talia. Lena stepped between them. "No." That one word landed heavy. "You taking her side?" Brent asked. Lena looked him straight in the eye. "I'm taking the side of the law." The supervisor arrived minutes later. Captain Nolan Pierce checked the body cam logs on his tablet and said loudly enough for everyone filming to hear, "Camera was manually disabled 12 minutes ago." A woman in the crowd muttered, "Well, that's convenient." Even Talia almost smiled at that. Nolan asked Brent a few simple questions. "Did you have cause to detain her?" No answer. "Cause to search the bag?" Silence. "Did you knock that phone down?" Brent muttered something about managing the scene. Nolan sighed. "Your badge," he said. Brent froze. "What?" "Your badge. Now." And right there in the rain, in front of 50 phones and a crowd that refused to look away, Brent Calloway had to unclip his badge and hand it over. Nobody cheered. That's what made it powerful. Accountability doesn't need applause. Talia lowered her hands slowly. Lena asked quietly, "You all right?" Talia nodded. "I will be." The kid with the broken phone spoke again. "My uncle still talks about you every Thanksgiving." Talia looked at him and said gently, "Tell him I'm glad he made it home." Now here's the thing. People forget. Moments like that don't end when the crowd leaves. Once the investigation started, old complaints against Brent began surfacing. Missing body cam footage. Suspicious stops. Patterns nobody wanted to see before. Within days, the story was everywhere. Brent wasn't just suspended, he was under investigation for civil rights violations and evidence tampering. Lena got praise publicly and cold shoulders privately. You know how that goes. Departments love integrity until it makes paperwork messy. Talia never chased attention. She didn't go on TV, didn't post online, didn't correct half the stories spreading about her service record. A few weeks later, she quietly moved away from Belmere. No announcement, just gone. But the town didn't forget. A mural eventually appeared downtown showing a woman standing in the rain surrounded by a circle of light. Under it were the words, "We saw. We stayed." He couldn't hide. Some people loved it. Others said it made the police look bad. And maybe that's the question this whole story leaves us with. When power crosses the line in public, what are ordinary people supposed to do? Walk away and mind their business, or stay long enough to make sure the truth survives? I want to hear what you think. Was Brent just one bad officer who finally got caught, or do moments like this reveal something bigger about the system around him? And what mattered most that night? Talia's restraint. Lena refusing to cover for him, or the crowd choosing to stand there with their phones instead of walking away? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because stories like this always divide people, and honestly, those conversations might be the most important part of all.